But producer Charles Shire and director Nancy Myers were stuck for a child actor to play the twin sisters.
We were, I think, maybe 4 weeks away from leaving for London, and we didn't have a kid. Nancy spotted Lindsay in a tape from New York. She had so much energy. We said, she's a real candidate.
Tackling 2 roles was tough enough, but this kid had to be convincing as an American and a Brit.
My manager called up and she said, "Lindsay, can you do an English accent?" And I said, "Yeah, I've watched The Secret Garden," so I thought it would be that easy. But I mean, I've always played around with accents, so it didn't come that hard.
We brought her out. We tested her among 5 other girls, and it was just obvious to us right away that she was the one. She connected with Dennis. She connected with Natasha. She connected with our dialogue. She was emotional. She was funny. She just rang the bell.
When I was younger, I would like sit down and pray every night so that I could be in a movie, and it's finally come true.
Hallie, we're like twins.
Well, yeah, it's hard work. I mean, it's fun, but it's hard.
In the summer of 1997, 11-year-old Lindsay Lohan started shooting the Disney movie The Parent Trap. The film was Lindsay's first, and it was a huge challenge. She played twin sisters separated at birth who schemed to get their divorced parents back together.
Lindsay worked on this. She had notebooks for each character. When she was in London, she visited what a British school would be like and how proper and how different it was in the school she went to.
Lindsay quickly mastered the art of acting opposite herself.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sure you don't want some trout, Mom? Is that okay, by the way, if we start calling you Mom?
I think your mother would prefer if you called me Meredith. And no, thank you, I do not eat trout for the 1000th time. I will wait until breakfast. What are we having?
Trout.
They had the computers record my voice the first time. Then there was this little thing that fit into my ear, and I would hear myself as the other character, and then I would work off that.
She's got a lot of presence and poise to her, you know. I found a way into a 11-year-old girl's heart. The key is buy her Prada backpack right off the bat. She'll be fine.
In July 1998, The Parent Trap opened in theaters. Audiences loved what they saw.
Nancy Myers, who's a dear friend, sweetheart, directed The Parent Trap. She said to me, "Dina, your life will change with this child from today forward." And we're like, "Oh yeah, right, whatever." You know, we never took it seriously.
But before long, the tween redhead was idolized by millions of girls across the country.
She would at first be kind of, frightened and think, well, what's going to happen? And then she would gracefully go into the autograph signing and things like that. But she was kind of taken aback.
Lindsay soon topped everyone's must-have list.
The Parent Trap really put her on the map for everybody, from the directors in Hollywood to magazine editors like myself, and even Disney was so impressed with her portrayal of the 2 characters, they offered her a role opposite Matthew Broderick in Inspector Gadget.
But 12-year-old Lindsay needed some space.
We were approached by the agent at the time and said, "You have to get on a plane and go to LA, and we have to audition for this." Lindsay and I looked at each other. We said, "No, we're not going anywhere. We're home. We're going to stay home," and we took a pass.
What are you going to be doing next?
I don't really know yet. I'm not sure. I think I want to go back to school for a little bit and take a break and get a chance to be like a normal kid again.
Lindsay checked out of Hollywood and returned to Long Island. At school, the young movie star took some nasty shots from envious classmates.
And that was really difficult because there were kids, "Oh, Parent Trap, oh," just a lot of just cynical yells down the hallway kind of thing. One day she actually came home and was crying and said, "This guy was such a jerk. I can't believe he said that," but you develop a thick skin in this business.
When people are jealous of other people, they do mean things. They do, what anyone else would do. But she dealt with it very maturely. She was always, able to focus more on school and focus more on other things in her career that were important to her rather than the way she was being treated by other people.
Lindsay did find time to squeeze in the occasional acting gig. In the spring of 2000, she commuted to New York City to film a TV show pilot with Bette Midler.
It's always nice to meet a fan.
Lindsay played Bette's daughter. But when CBS picked up the show, the Lohans made a decision.
All along we were shooting that in New York, and then the last minute, Bette decided, the production company, to switch to Los Angeles, and at that point we bowed out because we didn't want to move to LA.
They wanted to keep me grounded and they wanted me to experience being a kid, and I think that's really important because people lose sight of that once you're in this business, you kind of don't want to stop, you know what I mean?
Lindsay threw herself back into being a high school student.
She took all her classes. She was a cheerleader. She did a lot of sports, actually. She was something of a jock. She did basketball, floated around different social groups very successfully.
Lohan's home life was another story. Her dad, Michael, continued to have run-ins with the law. According to court documents, he also had problems with drugs and alcohol.
He says things and he does things that I think he regrets later on. Can I give you a specific example? No, there are just too many of them. He just doesn't think sometimes.
Lindsay later spoke candidly to writer Rob Haskell about her father.
It was a real no-holds-barred conversation in which she talked about how she had to stay up late at night every night of her childhood waiting for him to come home. It's a really dark situation.
Lindsay escaped the tension at home by focusing on her social life. In January 2002, she started hanging out with 14-year-old pop star and teen heartthrob, Aaron Carter.
They started dating, and it was exciting because they were both in the limelight together. He was a singer, so he was, doing tours and things like that, and I think it was really easy for them to connect on that level.
Puppy love. They were young kids. Aaron's a sweet kid, but it was silly puppy love. It was nothing serious.
In early 2002, 15-year-old Lindsay was ready to jump back in front of the cameras.
She actually begged me to come back into the business because she would see all her little friends like Misha Barton, who she grew up with, Lacey Chabert from Party 5. She would see them and go, you know what, I want to do this again because she's competitive.
That summer, director Mark Waters prepped the comedy feature Freaky Friday, another remake of a Disney classic. Jamie Lee Curtis signed on as the mother who magically switches bodies with her teenage daughter. Lindsay was a shoo-in for the junior role.
When she first walked in, I was like, you're the same girl from The Parent Trap, and actually, Jamie Lee is a funny story. When we told her about Lindsay Lohan, being in the movie for The Girl from The Parent Trap, we said, okay, great. Which character? Which one? And I was like, no, she played both. And she was like, well, she was immediately impressed with this girl and her talent.
And roll, please, roll it.
Curtis became an even bigger fan during filming.
She's so wonderful in the movie, and that's a much more subtle performance than mine is. Mine is way more over the top. Hers is much more subtle, and I think it really shows her skill. I think she's a very talented actress.
Talented, but still a kid.